Tonight, the U.S. sends a strong warning to Canada over illegal immigration. The friction over trying to protect a fragile shared border.
It's an extreme national security vulnerability on the northern border.
The reaction from Ottawa.
We take the border very, very seriously.
Donald, congratulations.
The face-to-face meeting between rivals.
A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get.
And Donald Trump's new cabinet picks as Republicans solidify their control in Washington. The nighttime celestial spectacle in Alberta.
Oh my goodness.
Plus, the tech used by thieves to clone your car keys.
Once they get in, you could see that they have some sort of portable device.
And racing into the record books.
Kyle Connor shot, scores!
Best season I've seen all the whole time since the Jets been here.
Why the Winnipeg Jets' superb start isn't winning over fans.
The guys have earned every inch of it.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening, everyone. Donald Trump's new point person on border security is putting Canada on notice just days after the Republicans' victory in the U.S. Tom Homan, who is from a village in upstate New York, about 70 kilometers from the Canadian border, is warning Ottawa of, quote, tough conversations about what he calls a huge national security issue. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, there were nearly 24,000 encounters with migrants along the Canada-U.S. border between October 2023 and September 2024, compared to 916 during that same period in 2021. An encounter defined as someone who is inadmissible to the U.S. or has crossed illegally. CTV's Rachel Aiello starts us off with how Ottawa is responding.
The Canadian government on the defensive today.
We take the border very, very seriously.
After U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's pick for border czar Tom Homan warned tough conversations are ahead.
An extreme national security vulnerability on the northern border, and it's one of the things I'll tackle as soon as I'm at the White House.
Our own border.
Aware border security will be a top issue for the incoming U.S. administration, it was the first topic discussed at today's Cabinet Committee on U.S. Relations. Its vice chair later telling CTV News he doesn't agree with how Homan views Canada's handling of its side of the world's largest undefended border.
Simply not a sort of an open buffet if you want to come to Canada in a series of illegal or irregular ways. You'll face Canadian law enforcement.
Recent American Border Authority data does indicate an increase in migrants crossing into the U.S. from Canada. Numbers the public safety minister says will come down, with preparations underway in this country for a potential surge in undocumented immigrants fleeing north as Trump executes his mass deportation pledge. Canada's lead on the file tried to flip the argument.
We have had equal challenges with respect to the flow coming from the U.S. into Canada, and I expect there to be some tough conversations.
The Border Workers Union calls Homan's comments concerning, but say they've been warning the government about whittling resources for years.
We need between 2,000 and 3,000 more officers at our borders just to deal with the volume that we're seeing right now. Of course, if that volume increases, that's only going to get worse, right?
It's not just Trump's border czar that Canada could have problems with. The president-elect's picks for other top posts have been critical of Justin Trudeau and his government's handling of hot files over the last few years. Omar?
All right, Rachel, thanks. And speaking of those cabinet picks, Donald Trump unveiled more today while he and his party cemented their grip on power in Washington. The Republicans have officially retained control of the House, reclaimed the Senate and the presidency. Trump stuck to tradition today, meeting with Joe Biden. CTV's Washington bureau chief Joy Malbin on what they discussed.
An historic handover of presidential power.
Donald, congratulations. Looking forward to having like we said, smooth transition.
A courtesy Donald Trump did not extend to President Joe Biden 4 years ago.
Politics is tough, and it's, in many cases, not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much.
Setting aside the bitter campaign, the two met for almost 2 hours, discussing foreign policy from Ukraine to the Israeli hostages still being held in Gaza.
The president-elect, again, was gracious, came with a detailed set of questions.
This is now Donald Trump's Washington, taking a victory lap with House Republicans.
Isn't it nice to win? It's nice to win.
The House will be in order.
Republicans now have won it all, the House, the Senate. Newly elected leader John Thune, who criticized Trump in the past, now pledging this.
We will do everything we can to process his noms quickly, get them installed in their position so they can begin to implement his agenda.
Confirming some of Trump's more controversial nominees will be intense.
Donald Trump is unstoppable.
In a shock move, he tapped fiercely loyal Congressman Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, in charge of the justice system that investigated Gaetz over sex trafficking allegations, which he denies.
You could literally hear the jaws dropping to the floor. Matt Gaetz is dangerously unqualified.
The leadership that
Tulsi Gabbard, a former Fox anchor and MAGA campaigner, named Director of National Intelligence.
I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles.
In another surprise, Fox host Pete Hegseth, a decorated Army veteran, named Defense Secretary, with plans to shake up the military.
Any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever, that was involved in any of the DEI woke, it's got to go.
Notably absent today, Melania Trump. She was invited but was a no-show and reportedly has no intention of moving back to Washington as First Lady. Omar?
All right, Joy, thank you. Back on this side of the border, RCMP in British Columbia announced arrests in what they're calling a transnational organized crime group connected to Mexican drug cartels.
RCMP federal policing investigators have arrested 3 men in the city of Surrey, BC, for their alleged role in a plot to import large quantities of cocaine into Canada.
Police raided a house in September, seizing guns, ammo, and drugs. New details tonight on a CTV News exclusive on one of India's most wanted terrorists being held here in Canada and linked to a violent shooting. Now we are learning that confidential details of the case have been leaked and are being shared across India. CTV's Adrian Gobriel has the update.
The arrest of a man deemed a terrorist by India's government on Canadian soil is now making international headlines. Arshdeep Singh Gill, better known by the alias Arsh Dalla, is accused of being behind multiple violent attacks in India while living in Canada. While the details released by police have been scarce, a CTV News investigation has uncovered that Dalla and another man were arrested and charged in October after an alleged shootout on this rural road in Milton, Ontario. And now CTV News has learned that a confidential document that purports to be the Crown Attorney's synopsis for the case has been leaked and, according to media overseas, has gone viral in India.
A distinct possibility that somebody with India's interests in mind have decided to share the information that's not necessarily in Canada's interests.
A Crown synopsis isn't a filing that you can walk into a courthouse and gain access to. It's essentially the details of an attorney's case, which in this case haven't been made public yet in Canada, though that hasn't stopped the allegations in the alleged report from being shared far and wide in India. Ontario's Ministry of the Attorney General's office confirming to CTV News that what has been shared in India is contained within the Crown brief, the contents of which are confidential. One former CSIS terrorism analyst believes the apparent breach could be an example of the reach the Indian government may have inside Canada.
If the information was in fact passed, it could have been someone here in Canada with links to either the Indian government, the Indian security services.
For 2 days now, CTV News has been requesting a comment from the Office of Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs. So far, our questions have been met with silence. Dalla and the co-accused in this case both addressed this Superior Court in Milton, Ontario today while being held in custody. And they're expected to appear once more tomorrow when a date will be set for what's expected to be a lengthy bail hearing. Omar.
All right, Adrian, thanks. The countdown is on to a potential strike at Canada Post at the busiest time of the year. Postal workers could be off the job as early as midnight Friday. CTV's Alison Bamford on the communities that could be hardest hit.
In rural communities like this one, the post office is often attached to the general store, and in some cases, it's the only way for mail to come in and out of town.
They will have less options to get the parcels and everything delivered to them.
A pillar in communities like the village of Love, Saskatchewan, where they rely solely on Canada Post for deliveries.
Many of the private for-profit courier companies don't want to go in the rural. The last mile in the rural is very, very expensive, and they lose money.
In Osler, Saskatchewan, a small town north of Saskatoon, they have other options for parcels, like Purolator and UPS. Those picking up their mail here say they're not too concerned about any possible disruptions. They may miss out on the odd flyer or bill, but for the most part, those are already paid electronically.
This isn't about payment. The payment system has been digitized. The internet and e-commerce has become the new logistics system. So it's going to disrupt them massively.
A potential disruption for rural businesses and residents who rely on online orders simply because local shops don't have what they need.
A lot of people's ordering for Christmas, but now they're afraid to order.
Canada Post and the Postal Union were back at the bargaining table Wednesday. Both parties have said they want to avoid service disruptions, and many hope they will. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The Public Health Agency of Canada has officially confirmed the country's first ever human case of avian influenza. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson on the BC teen's condition and the precautions people can take.
Inside BC Children's Hospital, a teenager is locked in a life-and-death battle with bird flu.
Our heart goes out to this individual and their family, and we still need to hope for as good an outcome as possible.
BC's top doctor says the young person was healthy before being admitted to hospital Friday and then taking a turn for the worse.
The clinical condition can change very rapidly, but they're experiencing acute respiratory distress syndrome.
The virus has devastated poultry farmers and their flocks across the country. Since 2021, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency has tried to contain outbreaks by destroying close to 12 million birds. There are more than 30 outbreaks right now, most in BC.
This is actually the pandemic that we were preparing for before COVID hit.
That preparation in case avian flu started to spread between humans, as it now has between other mammals like cows, and the potential the virus could interact with human influenza to create a new supervirus.
It has not happened yet. There is no evidence that it's going to happen soon, but public health authorities around the world have discussed this scenario.
He says for the Canadian public, concern levels should remain low, but you are advised to get your flu and COVID shots, and most importantly, stay away from sick animals or birds. Keep your pets away from them too. Health officials say the teen struggling to breathe inside this hospital appears to have had no contact with infected birds or any farm animals. How that young person got sick is still unknown. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
And before we go to break, a stunning sight flashing through the sky over Alberta. It's part of an annual meteor shower that peaked overnight. The fiery display was reportedly also seen in BC, Saskatchewan, and several U.S. states. Coming up.
How fast could you use it to steal a car? Some vehicles you're looking at a minute or two.
Examining the easily bought tech thieves are turning to. More than $1 billion worth of vehicles are stolen in Canada each year. Tonight, W5's John Woodward brings you part one of a three-part investigation, starting with a simple tool making it easier for thieves to commit their crimes.
Thieves drive away the cars so fast that gone in seconds now seems like a cliche. Endless surveillance videos show vehicles worth tens of thousands of dollars vanishing from driveways, their engines turning on as if the criminals already had the keys.
You never think it's going to happen to you, and suddenly it's heart-crushing, you know, it's devastating.
Raul Apablaza remembers the night that hit him in the gut. Thieves stole his pride and joy, his Ford pickup truck.
I loved it. I loved it.
The thieves liked it too.
Unfortunately, yes.
Surveillance video shows it happen. Thieves in dark clothes scope his truck out. Then they get the door open and climb inside. The car's lights flash as one of them sits in the driver's seat, huddled over something.
Once they get in, you could see that they have some sort of portable device, either a laptop, a tablet.
Exactly what they had, Raul thinks he'll never know. It left with his truck. But other videos are more clear. Electronic tablets in the hands of thieves, about the size of an iPad. Of the kind Hamilton engineer and locksmith Yasser Jafar says he's seen before.
I just wanted you to tell me if you recognize the device they're using there.
We have one of those tools, yes.
Jafar and his brother Mustafa use those tablets to help their customers. If they've lost their keys, Mustafa uses this device to program another one. Mustafa is demonstrating this on my SUV, accessing the truck's computer through its onboard diagnostics port.
We're pretty much done.
I didn't give him a key, but with that tablet, he's programmed a new one in 12 minutes. That key just as good as mine.
She's all yours.
Powerful, but in the wrong hands.
How fast could you use it to steal a car?
Some vehicles you're looking at a minute or two.
And is there any restriction? So say we've done one, it took us 12 minutes. Could we just do another one and another one?
Unlimited usage. There is no tokens, there is no subscription fee, there is no limitation to this tool.
And the secret appears to be out. A quick look online shows those devices for sale on popular websites, including Amazon.
Turn the ignition off and turn the hazard on, hazard on.
And thousands of online videos with instructions on just how to do it. Bought not just by hobbyists or owners. A Toronto area police department named them in a government consultation as being of the greatest or most common concern in regards to facilitating auto theft. We're not naming those devices here, but Jafar says new laws need to limit their sale to only licensed locksmiths.
There has to be a regulation for companies selling specific tools.
Amazon says the devices are legal. Unfortunately, like many products, even these legal products can be misused. Amazon will continue to monitor the situation and adapt to any developments on regulation and compliance of these items. Apablaza knows the thieves are out there, so he's outfitted his replacement truck with extra security, including metal plates on the onboard diagnostics port. He's got a low-tech system too, a steering wheel lock.
And tomorrow night, John orders one of the devices to show just how easy they are to get. A dramatic vehicle rescue in Phoenix to show you now, all caught on video. Body cam footage shows police officers jumping into a pool to free the driver trapped in his car underwater. They break through the sunroof to pull him out. Police say the man accidentally stepped on the gas too hard. Incredible. Still ahead, the craze behind a luxurious smell and why teens are emptying their pockets. A multi-billion-dollar global industry has been getting a big boost recently from teenaged boys who are spending lots of money for luxury colognes. CTV's Sarah Plowman on what's driving the growing trend known as smell maxing.
Top 5 fragrances for men in 2024.
Bleu de Chanel, superstar.
Reviews waft across the internet.
Terre d'Hermès, superstar.
Landing tweens and teens at cologne counters.
I spend probably around $200 per cologne.
They're not spritzing Axe body spray.
It's just so beautiful.
Instead, it's Prada. Dolce & Gabbana. Expensive, but to this grade 12 student, worth it.
I think that it's right to, smell good.
For his 19th birthday, Jake Paquin splurged.
I actually bought this bottle of ombre leather by Tom Ford.
It cost him nearly $300.
And I think it's going to perform and last long. And I think a lot of the reason that I bought it was simply because it was hyped on the internet.
Oh, dude! The fragrance industry is seeing a surge in interest from teenage boys. At Shoppers Drug Marts, men's fragrance sales are up by double digits.
Men's now make up for almost half of all the fragrance sales.
First, it was girls buying high-end skincare and makeup.
The boys have followed that same trend where children try to up-age. They mimic adults.
The trend is so popular, it has a name. Smell maxing.
Things up. Smells maxing doesn't mean you're just purchasing a bunch of cologne.
An online subculture driven by social media influencers.
Ooh, it's a formidable scent.
Unlike Ron Burgundy and his pals, this generation seems to pay extra attention to what they smell like.
No one wants to smell bad, especially if you're going up to a girl. The last thing you want is for her to go, "Oh, he smelled bad." You want to get a good impression. You want to have that, "Oh, he smelled good. I want to smell him again. What is that?"
Impressions whirling through an industry. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Fredericton.
And Taylor Swift fans are enjoying the calm before the storm ahead of the pop star's first Toronto show tomorrow.
I believe it's actually a genuine different experience going to your hometown, seeing your artist come to your hometown, and then kind of experience it from the place where you grew up.
Swift will host 6 concerts in the city before moving west to Vancouver, where she will cap off her Global Eras tour. And we will be live from outside the concert venue tomorrow at 11 with all the economic impact and the fandemonium. After the break, can the hot start cool concerns for the Winnipeg Jets? The high-flying Winnipeg Jets are off to one of the best starts in NHL history. But the team's toughest opponent appears to be filling seats with fans. Here's CTV's Alex Carpa.
The Winnipeg Jets are making history. They are the fastest team to reach the 15-game win mark.
I don't think I quite drew it up this way, but certainly will. The guys have earned every inch of it.
The team itself is showing no signs of slowing down, which is good news for fans.
Jets are doing good. That's more tickets. The more money you make it, more tickets to sell.
This one in particular has been, giving us a lot of hope.
Best season I've seen the whole time since the Jets been here, and we're on a 7-game winning streak right now. We can go back to 8 and possibly do 9.
And it's creating a lot of buzz for fans in the city.
When your team's doing well, the fan tends to bask in that. They wear the team clothing more. They sort of talk about it because the win of the team is sort of the win for the fan as well.
Despite this historic start, the team resides in one of the smallest markets in the league and have had trouble filling seats in the arena in the past. However, the Jets have seen a bump in season ticket sales this year. They are also selling about 1,800 more tickets per game compared to last year.
They still have a long way to go. They still have work to do. This is a building that used to be full every night with a wait list. But I think I'm seeing arrows or signs that, whether it's the quality of the start, and really that has to be an enormous driver, there's something pushing fans generally back towards that building.
The Jets' next home game is not until next Tuesday against the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. If they keep this historic run going, it will be a litmus test for the organization to see if they can sell out that game. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
And that's a snapshot of this Wednesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night and see you tomorrow.